Workman is still alive and starts walking down the road, which is suddenly blocked by a police car and a civilian vehicle. Workman quickly shoots down the officer before forcing the civilian to hand him the car. At the office, Roberta calls Manafort to ask him if he knows Michael. Manafort explains that years ago, he ran an off-book program of elite agents called Black Kites. These agents could act in secret without the government keeping an eye on all their missions. Michael was one of the first agents and a true prodigy. One day he was sent to kill a foreign intelligence officer, but instead he falsified his report and disappeared. Manafort thinks Michael joined the enemy and advises Roberta to use all her power to stop him. Afterward, Roberta makes her technician hack into the Black Kite system. She discovers that Michael helped an Iranian scientist defect after he gave them all the information on their nuclear program. His orders had been to kill him, but Michael refused to ignore the deal. While Roberta keeps reading the files, Manafort keeps spying on her through the security cameras. Sometime later, Jesse asks Michael if he has a family, and he says no. He doesn't want a wife and kids because it'd complicate things. Jessie says she'd rather have a complicated situation if it meant having her mom and uncle back. She then pulls out a drawing of Jack, saying he was Michael's family. Eventually the duo reaches the next town and they keep their heads down to avoid security cameras. Unfortunately, there's a car with a dash cam that captures their faces and soon Manafort knows their location. After editing the footage to make the duo disappear, he sends the coordinates to Workman. The duo enters the local church to meet with Michael's old friend Arthur, who drives them to his house in the middle of the forest. While Jesse finds some curious medicine in the kitchen, Arthur tells Michael that he helped build Thea before he left his government position and he still has a copy of the software. When Michael disappeared, Arthur changed his picture for a random civilian, but Manafort replaced it with the terrorist profile. Michael wants Arthur to take care of Jesse while he goes out to fight, but Arthur says he can't. Jesse interrupts them to reveal that Arthur has cancer, which she knows because he's taking the same medicine her mother took before dying. Thinking Michael wants to get rid of her, Jesse apologizes for being a drag and walks away. After Arthur confirms he only has a few months left to live, Michael asks for the location of an old trafficker they knew. Arthur thinks it's a bad idea because the man is very violent, but Michael says he has no other options. When it's time to leave, they hear someone knocking on the door. Workman is behind it and opens fire, so Michael rushes to hide behind the furniture. When Workman enters the room, Michael pushes the shelves on top of him. The men then start fighting, using all the objects in the room as improvised weapons. In the struggle, a gun falls to the floor. Both men are excellent fighters, but after exchanging a bunch of blows, Workman manages to overpower Michael. When he's about to kill him, Jesse points the gun at him and begs him to stop. Workman jumps on her to disarm her and Michael grabs a nail gun to shoot him a few times before running with Jesse. As Workman opens fire again, the duo reunites with Arthur and they leave together in his car. Workman runs after them with more shots, but it's too late. Manafort texts him to ask if the job is done and Workman says no, so Manafort asks his assistant to get the team ready. When the group reaches a town, Arthur gives Michael a phone and leaves. Michael and Jesse continue to drive alone and Jesse asks Michael to take her with him to his next island. However, Michael refuses because he wants her to have a better life. Meanwhile, Roberta learns from her technician that someone has been using Thea behind their backs, so they prepare a trap. In London, Michael lets the cameras see them on purpose. They go to a nightclub and he beats up the bouncer until he lets them pass. Manafort sees their faces on the camera and tries to get their location, but he's immediately blocked. Now Roberta knows he was the one working behind her back. In the club, Michael and Jesse meet with trafficker Kamal. When Michael asks him to provide safe passage for Jesse with a new identity, Kamal wonders why he should obey. Michael points out that all these years, Kamal has only been able to operate because he ratted his competition out to Manafort. However, Manafort is now working illegally in the shadows and will kill everyone in the way. Since Michael let the cameras capture his face, agents will be in the club soon. Kamal has no choice but to help. Moments later, Kamal has the paperwork ready. The boat will leave in 30 minutes, so they need to hurry. The duo tries to leave the club, but they discover that Manafort's team has arrived. Michael attacks one of the men and quickly defeats him to steal his gun, shooting him in the process. Thanks to the loud music, the crowd doesn't notice anything. Then Michael takes a glass from the bar and breaks it before stabbing another agent multiple times. The next enemy is quickly shot down, and this time a few people notice. Jesse and Michael try to take the bathroom corridor, but another agent finds them there and a shootout ensues. After Michael distracts the enemies, he drags Jesse back to the club, where the agents suddenly surround him and start beating him up. Jesse tries to join the fight and a man brings her down, so Michael shoots the guy to save her. The crowd finally panics and runs away. In the chaos, it's difficult for Michael to move and an agent takes the chance to kidnap Jesse. Michael calls Arthur, who gives him directions by following the kidnapper on the security cameras. As Jesse is thrown in the back of a van, Roberta's soldiers also arrive and block the street. Michael still thinks they're enemies and beats up a few of them to open the way and keep running. When he finds the van, Manafort's agents surround him, so now he has to fight them. Michael brings them down one by one before rushing to reunite with Jesse. At that moment, Workman arrives, so the duo steals a bike to escape. At the pier, Jesse cries because she doesn't want to leave without Michael. Suddenly they hear a gunshot, so Michael tosses Jessie on the boat and watches her leave safely. Afterward, Michael and Workman fire at each other until they run out of ammo. Then they start fighting hand to hand, using a piper and a chain as weapons. Workman manages to get Michael in a chokehold, but Michael brings him down and hits him several times with the chain. For his last blow, he wraps the chain around the pipe and strikes Workman in the head, finally killing him. Sometime later in his mansion, Manafort looks out the window and sees 2 guards dead on the ground. When he turns around, Michael has entered the room. They argue about the Black Kite project for several minutes until Michael finally shoots Manafort in the head. 3 months later in